women want to sleep with men who leave them but date other men for a relationship. That is why she will date men who are blind to their own value long term, and these are the potential men for a relationship. But the most attractive men, these are the men who will walk away from her, and she will sleep with these men or the bad boys. And she already knows that this guy won't build anything serious with her. That is why she will entertain him around. Yet, a guy who is blind to his own value, he doesn't show up like he is aware of his sexual market value, his dating value. And he just so shows up like an average guy. So she can secure him for a long-term relationship and lock him down, because now she will feel more safer to date this guy. But men who carry themselves with the same attitude of, I know my value, she won't feel safe around him, but she can just sleep with him. Now, we all know we have the front end game, middle end game, and then back end game. As we all have learned that in the front end game is when you have just identified the lady in that town, in that city, or in that area, but you haven't made a move on her. In the middle end game is when you have already made a move on that lady and you are going on dates for the first 3 months to 6 months. In the back end game is when you are in a long-term relationship that is more than 6 months. The reason why they are called games, it's how you show up in person as a gentleman. Your charisma, your posture, your tone of voice, your attitude. That is why we call it a game. It's how you show up when you just identify that lady, when you just made a move on that lady and then she said, yes, we are going on dates, and when you are in a long-term relationship with her. Now, sexual market value is your dating value in the lens of women and the perception of your dating value. Are you a guy who is dating up? Can she look up on you? Your sexual market value is your price in the eyes of women. And your price is just a perception of who you are, how you carry yourself. And if other women are interested in you, the more women want you, the higher sexual market value you have. So it is a price on the market, your price on the dating market. That is why we call it your sexual market value. Pre-selection is when other women want you. So you are already pre-selected automatically, and the lady doesn't need to test you on a deeper level. She can just run passive tests on you to see if you can pass them. But the test on a deeper level, women who want you have already done it for you and they have already pre-selected you. That is why we call it pre-selection. Hypergamy is a feeling. She needs to feel like she is dating up. And a feeling is the perception of your sexual market value. So your sexual market value has to be perceived in a certain way so that it can generate a feeling for it to satisfy hypergamy. Now, she just wants to sleep with you. That is why in the front end game, she might seem warm, excited, and innocent. And in the middle end game, everything will be exciting, but it won't lead to a long-term relationship with you. When a lady meets with you in the front end game, she doesn't know who you really are. She has an idea that maybe you can be a potential partner if she's looking for one, or maybe you are just a guy she can sleep with if she is looking for one. So she already knows that she is either looking for a guy to just sleep with, or maybe to just have fun with, or maybe a potential partner. That is all she knows. In the middle end game, she fully knows, she is aware now of if you are here to have fun and she also just wants to have fun with you, or she is securing you and trying to lock you down for a long-term relationship. How a lady shows up in the front end game, she is filtering for your sexual market value. And a guy she just wants to sleep with and the guy she wants to lock him down for a long-term relationship, you are all tested differently. When your sexual market value is a 10 out of 10 or 90% or 80%, you have already been identified as a guy I can experience, have fun with, and try to know. But I don't know if I can date him long term. So both of you are tested differently and filtered differently, but she has no idea of who you are. For the guy, I think he's more attractive, and I just want to experience and have fun with it. I will appear innocent in front of him, but I won't be promiscuous. So that is the guy I want to have a long term relationship with. This is me positioning myself as a potential girlfriend material. But for the guy I just want to sleep with, I might seem innocent in front of him at first, and once he is engaged, but he's not leaning forward to kiss me and not pursuing me, I will be promiscuous. Remember, all these characters is just an act to test you. Will you still entertain me when I am acting promiscuous? Will you still believe that I am actually disciplined and innocent and I am a potential girlfriend material, which might lead to me being a potential partner long term? So this potential girlfriend material is just pretense. And this innocent and promiscuous, innocent is pretense, but promiscuous is who I really am and what I want to do with you. So I want you to also entertain me in the same way, just go with the flow, because I think you are the guy I can just sleep with. So I am setting an expectation of who I am, promiscuous ready, who just wants to sleep with you. Now, I might have an idea of who you are, but I don't know who you really are in the front end game. But now in the middle end game, when I'm trying to get to know you, when you don't see me and entertain my promiscuous behavior, and you don't see me as innocent as I am trying to appear in person, this changes the perception of whom you might be. So I thought you were Jay, a guy you just want to explore and have fun with. But I have identified that you might be a potential partner since you are filtering who I really am beyond my innocence presence and my promiscuous character. When you say no, this is a potential partner. Okay? When you say no. When you think she is actually innocent, you are naive to female nature. When you are naive to female nature, she can just sleep with you, but not date you long term. But when you know that her innocence is just pretense, you are again a potential partner because now you know more than she knows and you are not naive to female nature. So the perception of whom I might thought you could be in the front end game changed to you might be a potential partner. Okay? The same happens to the guy. I think he might be a potential partner. When I appear and seem innocent and disciplined, does he believe that this is who I really am? If he doesn't take me seriously and he knows that I am just acting out, he is a potential partner. So both of you are my options that I am exploring to have a long-term relationship with. But remember, I will still have to sleep with you and filter who will be more attached in love and will expect to sleep with me again and again. And the one who will be more attached and will be looking forward to sleep with me again, I will perceive him as a guy who can't build a long term relationship with me, but I can still sleep with him. So he is safe to sleep with since he has the characters of a potential partner. He can also be a backup plan in case the relationship that I am in doesn't really last long, and I also want to feel safe in that relationship. So I need a person or a guy who has the characters of a potential partner, and you just seem to be one of them. That is why when you have more knowledge on female nature, there is a possibility of you walking away from her compared to the guy who is blind to his own value, even though he is a potential partner. She's going to pick this guy who is blind to his own value because it is easier to convince him, even though he can see through female nature, but he doesn't show up as a guy who is a 10 out of 10 or carry himself with that attitude. When he carries himself with the same attitude and he knows his value, it will be hard for this lady to feel safe around him. And now she will just sleep with him, but then date another guy who is blind to his own value, but he is pre-selected, he has a higher sexual market value, and he satisfies hypergamy. In the middle end game, the guy who is attached to her, the relationship will end and she won't date him long term and you won't be even her backup option. But the another guy that she will sleep with, okay, who won't get attached but has acted in the same way you acted, that is guy O. This guy, I can convince him that we are having a potential relationship that is long term, and I will select him as a backup option. I want a backup guy who can be attached to me so that way it is easier to experience fantasies with him on a deeper level. Having a fantasy with a guy, it needs a guy who doesn't get attached to me because now everything will still be exciting. And entertaining. So I have a feeling that this guy might leave me because he's not attached to me, but he still sustains a feeling of excitement in the relationship. And this pushes me or convinces me to want to see him again and again and again. And remember, the guy that I saw as a potential partner, as long as he is blind to his own value, even though he will be failing some of the shit tests, he might just get away with failing the tests. I have already made my mind. I want a guy who is blind to his own value, but he satisfies hypergamy, he is pre-selected, and his sexual market value is higher than mine. I feel more safe when I am around this guy, but he will be getting away with failing the test. Now, when her emotions are approached, this is you being in a long-term relationship with her, by this guy, now she will be attached to this guy O, even though she is in a relationship with guy Y. Now, she can't experience any fantasies with guy Y, who is a potential partner, because this guy doesn't know how to do it even for her to experience the fantasy. And it won't be explored to a maximum level where she will enjoy it. And so she doesn't see him as a fantasy guy. She sees a guy O that she is attached to emotionally as a fantasy guy. So she knows that this guy will eventually leave him, but she will just sleep with him to sustain that experience and enjoy a moment with him. But he has to be pre-selected and have a high sexual market value and sometimes satisfying hypergamy. And there is a chance that she will be more attached to him. Why? She can't experience a fantasy with a guy who is low with a sexual market value because automatically she won't feel attracted to him. She knows she will be dating down. And the urge of wanting to sleep with him won't be there anymore. So that is why in these stages with different men, what matters is sexual market value, pre-selection, and hypergamy. And it all applies to the guy I will end up a relationship with. For the first 6 months, when we thought we have a relationship, I walked away from him because he was attached to me after sleeping with him. So it applies to all men. The guy I have selected is a potential partner, but he is blind to his own value. He doesn't carry himself as the guy who is actually high value than me, but I can see it through him. I feel safe, but he is pre-selected by other women, or I actually pre-selected him by perceiving him in a certain way, and it's how I feel about him. And he is satisfying hypergamy, where I think I understand him fully, but before I know it, I don't fully know his next move, his actions, or what he means. When he is communicating to me in a certain way, I don't fully understand and I can't fully figure out what he meant. So that is him satisfying hypergamy. He is unpredictable, but at the same time, he is blind to his own value. That satisfies hypergamy, but he can get away with failing the test since the unpredictable behavior is covering up for your faults. That is, you have been failing the test, but your unpredictable behavior is covering up for those faults. And I still feel safe since he is blind to his own value. So other women won't see his value because he doesn't carry himself with the same attitude of a high value guy who is already pre-selected. Women might just filter him as an average guy. But in reality, on a deeper level, he is a very high value guy who satisfies hypergamy, who is already pre-selected, and whose sexual market value is higher than mine. I hope you have learned something, and I hope moving forward, we will be enjoying this together. And until next time, be safe, take care, and let's have peace.